Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Soul Land 2 Part 208 based on novel. So let's start. However, Abai did not continue and kill the abomination Doluor. Huayuhao had obviously ordered Abai to pin him down, but not kill him. The myriad soul Doluor knew the battle was over. There was no point in him trying to fight a losing battle. As his figure flickered, he sent the remaining avenging spirits around him on a final onslaught. The mermaid avenging spirit released a series of loud howls as its powerful spiritual attack rippled from its body. To protect his life, the myriad soul Doluor knew he had to sacrifice his avenging spirits to escape. He could always replenish his avenging spirits if they were to die. But if he were to lose his life, it would be the end for him. His reactions were extremely quick, but why would Huayuhao not have thought of restraining him? He would not have left him there alone if he didn't have the ability to control the situation. Just as the myriad soul Doluor was retreating, he suddenly saw a strange eye in front of him. The humongous eye released a purplish gold flash before his eyes. Following which, the myriad soul Doluor felt as if a hammer which could have split the earth hit his head. After releasing a loud groan, his retreating body lost control and collapsed to the ground with a loud thud. It was a spiritual shock from the martial soul true body version of the Eye of the Azura. The frighteningly powerful spiritual attack ensured the destruction of the myriad soul Doluor's spiritual sea. Because of the huge loss of his avenging spirits, the myriad soul Doluor had already suffered a drop in his cultivation. After sustaining this blow, he immediately lost consciousness. The pure white holy light instantly transformed into a sharp sword which descended from the sky as though it was about to judge the evil beneath it. The sword stabbed straight into the chest of the myriad soul Doluor. Following which, Yi Gai's body split from the holy sword. Afterwards, one could see copious amounts of grey energy current surging out from the chest of the myriad soul Doluor. While he was screaming in pain, he was unable to budge because he was pinned down by the holy sword. The four wings behind Yi Gai's black glistened like white jade as golden streaks of energy raced into her body from the hilt of the holy sword. Tonight's battle was definitely a night full of rewards for this soul sage. The myriad soul Doluor struggled for close to a minute before relenting. Finally, he transformed into black ash under the holy sword before vanishing. After breaking free from their master's control, the remaining avenging spirits in the air were about to disperse and escape before they were stopped by Huayuhao's spiritual power. Yi Gai immediately turned around to continue her attack. She took close to 15 minutes before she was able to purify the bulk of the avenging spirits. Among the avenging spirits, about a third of them were human. The rest of them were from soul beasts. While some of them were from the land, most of them were aquatic soul beasts. In the end, Huayuhao asked Yi Gai to spare the mermaid avenging spirit. The spirit was putting up a fierce struggle against Huayuhao's spiritual interference domain. Its once beautiful face was now twisted by rage and hatred. Huayuhao let out a long sigh before chanting a purification spell. Huayuhao's purification was a level above Yi Gai's because he himself had inherited the power from Electrolux. A white light shone down from the skies and onto the mermaid avenging spirit. At that very instant, the spirit stopped struggling as streams of black energy current separated from its soul. The hatred and anger which were written all over its face started to slowly disappear. Gradually, all that remained on its face was melancholy. Huayuhao released his spiritual power and attempted to establish contact with the mermaid. However, the mermaid spirit merely looked at him as it gently shook its head. Its eyes were brimming with sadness, but one could tell that it was a kind of sadness which one possessed after coming to terms with one's predicament. The mermaid nodded gently before opening her mouth to sing a melody. At this moment, the battle within the city had ended. Bei Bei, Xu Sanxia, and Ji Juechen were all coming back from different directions. However, they all heard the mermaid spirit singing. Her singing was beautiful, but sorrowful. It sounded as though she was sobbing as she shared her tragic story of being captured by the evil soul master through her song. Her spirit started to release spots of white light during her singing. As her voice became brighter, her body started to become fainter. Huayuhao sighed. After all, she had already become an avenging spirit. Even if he were to help her remove her vengeance, she was still unwilling to communicate with him. Nonetheless, her soul was purified, and she must be feeling a lot better now. The mermaid's singing lasted for a couple of minutes before diminishing to silence. As the last note was sung, everyone's eyes were brimming with tears. This mermaid spirit was particularly skilled in spiritual power. She was one of the strongest avenging spirits that the myriad soul dolor had possessed. Now, during her last song, she was able to move everyone present. The mermaid's faint spiritual image turned around to face Xiao Xiao before bowing before him, as though she wanted to thank him for his help. Following which, a pale blue glow started to fly towards him. Once the glow started to move towards him, the spirit disintegrated into tiny white particles that vanished into thin air. Xiao Xiao could sense the kindness from the mermaid spirit, and extended his hand to receive the blue light. To his surprise, the blue light went through his palm before landing on his body. As the blue light enveloped him, Xiao Xiao felt as though he had been rinsed by warm water. He felt particularly refreshed, but nothing else other than that. Xiao Xiao was confident that he would be able to detect any problems with his powerful spiritual energy if there were any. But from the way things looked, there didn't seem to be any problem with the gift from the mermaid spirit. The abomination dolor who was temporarily spared by was naturally Xiao Xiao's gift to Yi Gai. Without hesitating, Yi Gai moved over to finish him off with her holy sword. The deaths of different evil soul masters gave her different degrees of improvement. Even though she gained a lot from the death of the abomination dolor, the power she gained was a lot less than what she had received from the myriad soul dolor. After putting her holy sword away, Yi Guti realized the holy fire that was burning around her body was almost beyond her control. Even Obai refused to be in close proximity to her. "Thank you." Yi Gai thanked Xiao Xiao before walking straight to the spectral gate behind him. She had purified far too many avenging spirits, and her body was bursting with purified energy. She needed to train immediately to digest this energy, or it would be wasted. The battle on the walls of the city was nearing its end. Under the combined attack of 200 soul engineers, each at least a soul emperor, the resistance above the walls of the city was destroyed in no time. Even though they had tried to retaliate with their linked soul tools, which were controlled by 50 soul masters, their attack was very feeble, considering how they had to defend at the same time. They simply could not breach the linked defense set up by the Tang sect Soul Engineer Legion. The linked defense on the city wall was destroyed by the furious attacks of the Tang sect Soul Engineer Legion. However, Hikaitu was saddened to see so many soul tools destroyed in the battle. They were all precious soul tools which were very valuable. The large commotion at the city walls naturally attracted the attention of Eastern Sun City's city defense army as they gravitated towards the walls. However, it was apparent that they would be of not much use. The Tang sect Soul Engineer Legion spread out in the air as they fired at the main road which led to the city walls. The series of shots completely cut off the road the army was about to take to provide reinforcement to the walls without taking too many lives. Otherwise, it would just be a one-sided massacre if the army were to actually come into direct conflict with the Soul Engineer Legion. Bei Bei moved towards Xiao Xiao and said, "Who would have known that there would be two evil titled dolor? Fortunately, we had the two of you to take them down." Even though he was mainly expressing his gratitude towards Xiao Xiao and Tang Wutong, he was also expressing his amazement at the current strength of the Tang sect. Even though he hadn't managed to witness the full battle earlier, he could tell that Tang Wutong and Xiao Xiao had won the battle fairly easily from their composed expressions. The two of them were authentic title dolor, and yet they could not put up a fight against Xiao Xiao and Tang Wutong. In fact, Xiao Xiao was even able to control the situation, and allow Yi Gai to improve her cultivation. Compared to the battle at Oak City which had a few unexpected incidents, things went pretty smoothly this time. This exemplified how strong the Tang sect had become. After the past few battles, everyone, including Xiao Xiao and Tang Wutong, had a brand new understanding of their own abilities. Xiao Xiao and Tang Wutong could probably put up a fight against the Heavenly Sun Dolor, who was a rank 97 Transcendent Dolor. The advantage of using martial soul fusion skills on their top-class martial souls was becoming increasingly apparent as Xiao Xiao and Tang Wutong became stronger. At the same time, the gap between them and their peers was also becoming larger. Without the Qianquan fortune pills, the gap between them would probably have been larger. Senior brother, clear up the battlefield. Hui Yuhao ordered He Kai-tu. This was He Kai-tu's favorite part of the battle. Following which, Hui Yuhao first located the equipment which was connected to the nearby aerial surveillance soul tools before shutting the surveillance soul tools down and bringing them in. Afterwards, he chanted his incantations to open a spectral gate and release the remaining 2 legions. Of course, the soul engineers came out of the spectral demiplane without their soul tools. After all, the dismantling work only required human labor. The battle at Eastern Sun City was different from the one back at the Mingdo mountain range. Here, at the biggest city in the northern region of the Sun Moon Empire, Hui Yuhao and the others did not have to flee right after they attacked as they did at the Mingdo mountain range. Even if news of their attack spread to other troops, it would take a long time for reinforcements to arrive. Thus, they could plunder the city at will. He Kai-tu led the way as he dismantled every single possible soul tool in the area and brought them back into the spectral demiplane. In fact, he even led the soul engineers to the top of the city wall to scavenge rare metal bits from the ruins. The sky had started to turn bright by the time they had finished dismantling and packing everything up. The troops who were planning to attack Hui Yuhao and the others were also fairly rational. They knew they were unable to compete against the Soul Engineer legions, and hence they merely surrounded the area while they waited patiently for the reinforcements they had called for. The mission was not over after clearing the area of any remaining soul tools. It was now the Tang sect Soul Engineer legion's turn to perform. Eastern Sun City's 7 storehouses were plundered by the legions as they transported large amounts of resources, especially food, into the spectral demiplane. While Oak City was already considered a huge granary, it was nothing compared to Eastern Sun City. If the food in Oak City was to be compared to a small mountain, the food in Eastern Sun City could be an entire mountain range. In fact, the granary in Eastern Sun City had several special products from the Ice Sea, such as the skin of aquatic soul beasts, etc. There were plenty of resources and money for the legions to plunder. It was only in the afternoon on the next day when the plundering operation ended. The 30,000 soldiers were pinned down near the northern city gate by the Fort Soul Engineer Legion until the entire operation ended. Afterwards, the Fort Soul Engineer Legion left the city and headed north. This operation affected more than just Eastern Sun City. It affected the entire northern region of the Sun Moon Empire. The newly acquired resources had exceeded the 2 storehouses built within the spectral demiplane. They had no choice but to erect another 2 additional storehouses to contain them. Right from the beginning of their mission, Hui Yuhao had never told the 3 legions to bring many rations. Their strategy was to fuel the next fight with their plunder from the previous fight. The rations which they had plundered from these 2 cities was already sufficient for them to survive for 3 to 5 years without any worries. The group of cultivators from the Tang sect gathered on top of a small knoll in the spectral demiplane. Hui Yuhao sighed and said, "It seems like we have underestimated the Sun Moon Empire." "What do you mean?" Jiang Nan asked curiously. Hui Yuhao said, "Actually, our initial predictions were correct. The number of troops stationed in the northern part of the Sun Moon Empire was actually very limited. In fact, they were not viewed with much importance. Nonetheless, we still faced relatively strong resistance from them. If we had not planned for an unprepared foe, we might not have won so easily, especially with the number of soul tools they had. Hence, we must be extra careful with our subsequent operations. Also, after our 2 victories, I am certain the Sun Moon Empire will be responding with some sort of plan. Thus, we must be even more unpredictable with our next move in order to achieve the best effect." Bei Bei nodded and said, "Yuhao is correct. Our biggest advantage is this spectral demiplane. We are only able to move faster than any other troops because of it. In fact, we can probably appear at any corner of the continent within 3 days. Even if we can only launch a single shell at the enemy and flee, we can still achieve our objective. We must remember to not get entangled in a battle with our enemies. Yuhao, didn't you want to take a walk in the Ice Sea?" Hui Yuhao nodded and said, "Yes, I'm about to go and take a look. Hopefully, I will be able to leave with some takeaways. In the meantime, I need everyone to remain in the spectral demiplane." Regardless of the outcome of my trip to the Ice Sea, I will immediately head to the southern parts of the Sun Moon Empire. By shifting our attack from the north to the south, they will be completely lost as to where exactly we plan to strike. This will be a perfect way to cause panic in their backlines. Xiao Xiao frowned and said, but the problem is that we don't really know how we're doing at the front lines. If we can find out what's going on there, we might be able to strike at the Sun Moon Empire more effectively. Bei Bei replied, we shouldn't be too greedy about these things. It's already incredible for us to achieve what we have done. At least for now, the entire northern part of the Sun Moon Empire is a mess because of the food shortage we've created. The Sun Moon Empire must devote resources and attention to solving this problem. At the same time, they will have to try and uncover our tracks. I am sure this will help our friends at the front line. Once we expand the range of our operations, I am certain that the Sun Moon Empire will become even more chaotic, and when that happens, they will have no choice but to retreat. Xiao Xiao asked, little junior brother, do you need me to follow you to the Ice Sea? I'm better with water. Judging from the camp the Sun Moon Empire had set up here, the aquatic soul beasts in the Ice Sea might cause you some problems. You need to be careful. Hoi Yuhao replied, you can rest assured, senior brother. Even in the worst-case scenario, Wutong and I should be able to retreat safely. Don't forget, I have an ultimate ice martial soul. I do have a big advantage up here in the extreme north. If I need any help, I will summon all of you. Xiao Xiao did not bug Yuhao any longer. After all, Hoi Yuhao and Tang Wutong were already a level above them in terms of fighting ability. Ji Juechen, who had been keeping quiet at the side, suddenly asked, Yuhao, when can we spar? He had finally asked the question that had been on his mind for the longest period of time. Just now during the battle, he did not face any formidable foes, but saw how Hoi Yuhao was able to play around with the two evil soul masters. As a sparring maniac, how could he resist the temptation to ask Hoi Yuhao to spar with him? Hoi Yuhao looked at him helplessly before replying, Brother Ji, let's talk about it some other time. For now, can I get everyone to go and get some rest? We will head to the Ice Sea after finishing our preparations. He did not want to spar with Ji Juechen now. Ji Juechen's sword intent was no joke. Even if he were confident in his abilities, he still had to put in 100% in order to beat Ji Juechen. Hoi Yuhao did not want to waste energy on sparring right now. He still had plenty of work to do. Ji Juechen frowned as he looked towards the other people around him. Immediately, Bei Bei walked away and sat down before beginning his meditation. Xiao Xiao looked up at the sky as he whistled and strolled away with Jiang Nan Nan. He Kaitu smiled awkwardly at Ji Juechen before saying, don't look at me. I'm a soul engineer, so I won't be a good sparring partner for you. Actually, Yi Gai should be a good partner. Her cultivation must have improved a lot after the previous battle. Why don't you spar with her once she's done with digesting the newly acquired energy? Yi Gai was currently cultivating in the storehouse, and soul engineers had been stationed there to protect her. Ji Juechen sighed in despair. Why is it so hard to find someone to spar with? Everyone was now avoiding him. He improved the most from finding inspiration in his sparring or battles with strong opponents. It was not sufficient for him to train alone. No one desired a strong opponent more than him. Then, someone whom no one had expected stood up. Why don't I give it a try? The voice was tender, but one could still detect a tinge of competitiveness in it. Ji Juechen turned around, and was surprised to find out who had accepted his challenge. The voice belonged to a female. But the person was not Tang Wutong, the strongest female soul master among them. She was also neither Jiang Nan Nan nor Yi Gai. The person was also not Nan Xiao Xiao, who was getting ready to watch the performance before her eyes. She was none other than Xiao Xiao, the one among Shrek's 7 monsters who rarely showed her abilities. Yes, the person who stood up and agreed to spar with Ji Juechen was none other than Xiao Xiao. The first person who expressed his shock was He Kaitu. He frantically asked, Xiao Xiao, what are you doing? Are you crazy? How could you challenge Juechen? His sword intent is not something he can control properly. Xiao Xiao glared angrily at him and said, "Why do you have such little confidence in me? Or are you just a chauvinist by heart?" Hikaitu was lost for words after hearing her words. He was simply too doting towards her. Even though he might be really busy all the time, he was never stingy on the care and affection he had shown for Xiao Xiao. This also resulted in a lack of opportunities for Xiao Xiao to get her hands dirty. The truth was that even though Xiao Xiao gave off the vibes of a little girl, especially among Shrek 7 monsters, she was actually a little older than Hui Yuhao and Tang Wutong. In fact, the three of them had won the freshman competition together when they had just entered Shrek Academy. Subsequently, she once again showed her abilities in the Continental Elite Youth Soul Master Tournament. But after that time, Xiao Xiao rarely had the opportunity to spar and showcase her abilities. Even Hikaitu did not know exactly how strong she had become. Ji Juechen stared at Xiao Xiao, but he did not belittle her because of her size. Instead, his eyes showed the respect and wariness he had for any challenger. Xiao Xiao stood there plainly, but did not seem to reveal any flaws in her stance. Ju Jichen was an expert at finding flaws in an enemy's stance. Once the enemy revealed a flaw, he or she would face the wrath of his torrential attacks. However, Xiao Xiao seemed to have blended in with her surroundings. She was simply not exhibiting any flaws at all. Xiao Xiao stared at Ji Juechen before announcing, "Brother Ji, can I challenge you?" Ji Juechen hesitated a while before looking at Hui Yuhao, who was standing by the side. Hui Yuhao nodded without any hesitation. While the others might belittle Xiao Xiao, Hui Yuhao would never do so. A year ago, Xiao Xiao had already gained her own spirit with Hui Yuhao's help. Besides, Hui Yuhao and Tang Wutong would never forget her true abilities. Hui Yuhao was not the only control system soul master among the new generation of Shrek 7 monsters. Xiao Xiao was the other one. However, she had taken a different path from Hui Yuhao. Hui Yuhao had chosen to focus on controlling and attacking, whereas Xiao Xiao chose to dedicate her training to controlling and defending. The rationale for these two different focuses was because of Hui Yuhao's twin martial souls. His spirit eyes would focus on controlling, while the Ice Jade Empress Scorpion would focus on attacking. What about Xiao Xiao? In fact, she also possessed twin martial souls. Yes, Xiao Xiao, the girl who usually kept a low profile, was a soul master with twin martial souls. Among Shrek 7 monsters, she was the third person, other than Hui Yuhao and Tang Wutong, who had twin martial souls. They were the cream of the crop among the new students of Shrek Academy back then. Even though Xiao Xiao rarely sparred with anyone, that did not mean she was weak. Under the powerful effects of the Qiankun fortune pill, her cultivation had improved tremendously. Also, she was the direct disciple of Elder Xian, who was an actual ultimate Doluo. If he was willing to hand his teachings over to Hui Yuhao and Tang Wutong, why would he not teach his final disciple? Hence, amongst everyone present, Hui Yuhao was undoubtedly the person who had the most confidence in her. Seeing how Hui Yuhao had given his consent, Ji Juechen said, "All right, let's do it then." Hikaitu became anxious as he tried to grab Xiao Xiao's arm. "Xiao Xiao, you shouldn't. This is too dangerous. What am I going to do if something bad happens to you?" Xiao Xiao replied casually, "Then go and find another person." Hikaitu was angered by her words. "What do you mean by, find another person? I only want you. Besides, you have already done that to me. You must take responsibility." His words hit everyone like a bolt from the blue. After hearing Hikaitu's words, Chu Sancha immediately pulled Jiang Nan Nan back as they returned to listen to the juicy gossip. Bei Bei's eyes also widened in disbelief, while Hui Yuhao and Tang Wutong looked at Xiao Xiao with a surprised expression. Xiao Xiao immediately became the center of attention. She started blushing as she glared at Hikaitu in a vicious manner. "Can you not spout rubbish? You're spoiling my spiritual state. You're going to be responsible if I lose later. And stop asking weird questions like who will be responsible for you and who did what with you. If you continue to ask stupid questions like that, I will ignore you." After seeing Xiao Xiao blush, Hikaitu frantically said, "How can you fight against Juechen when you're so flustered now? Come, let's go and cultivate by the side to calm your mind and heart down. As he spoke, he was about to pull Xiao Xiao away. However, his pull was ineffective. Xiao Xiao's feet seemed to be rooted to the ground. Of course, he Kaitu would not use his real strength to pull her away. However, he could sense the determination in her to spar with Ji Juechen. As he lowered his head to look at her, he was surprised by the look on her face. Xiao Xiao's eyes had grown calm, and the flustered look on her face had disappeared. What was left was a look of calmness and determination. Xiao Xiao, you. Kaitu. Xiao Xiao's voice was very gentle. I know you treat me well and are afraid that I will get hurt. I understand how you feel towards me. But you must know that I will not only become your wife in the future. At the same time, I will still be a member of Shrek's 7 monsters. All these years, I have seen how Xiao Xiao has fought countless battles in the north and the south. All of you have also been busy with projects within the Tang sect. But what about me? Under your protection, I have been like a bird who is unable to spread her wings. I know you care for me and dote on me. But I do not want to be a flower in a greenhouse. And I have the abilities to not be a flower in a greenhouse. I can stay strong without your protection. I am not just your lover and partner. In times of war, I can be your companion who can fight alongside you and help everyone. I have never cut myself any slack on my training in all these years. And I train hard because I want to help everyone on the battlefield. But all of you have subconsciously excluded me from any dangerous or challenging tasks. I want this to stop, and I want to prove to all of you that I, Xiao Xiao, also possess the ability to become a true member of Shrek's 7 monsters. So please don't stop me, Kaitu. Let me prove it to you, alright? Xiao Xiao's words silenced everyone as they started to ask themselves if that was truly the case. Jiang Nannan empathized with her words most strongly. Other than Tang Wutong, she was the only female among Shrek's 7 monsters along with Xiao Xiao. Even though Tang Wutong was able to fight alongside Xiao Xiao and had experienced so much, both Jiang Nannan and Xiao Xiao were always living under the care and protection of everyone else. Hence, after hearing Xiao Xiao's words, which resonated strongly in her heart, she let go of Xu Sanqi's hand and walked towards Xiao Xiao. Xiao Xiao, I support you. Xiao Xiao held Jiang Nannan's hand and smiled. She was truly beautiful. Kaitu was a little dazed after staring at her beautiful smile. It took him a while before he shook it off and revealed an understanding smile. He sighed before saying, I am sorry, Xiao Xiao. I must have neglected your feelings. Xiao Xiao let go of Jiang Nannan's hand before walking towards Kaitu. She actually dove into his embrace in front of everyone. No, Kaitu. I am really fortunate and blissful to have you. To be honest, I actually hesitated back then when I chose you. But afterwards, I understood how right I was to have chosen you. Kaitu, I really enjoy receiving the care and concern you have for me. But I am so sad to see how hard you work every day. I really want to help you. Kaitu hugged her tightly as he stared at her lovingly. Ji Juechen, who had been standing by the side, suddenly slapped his forehead and muttered, Why do I suddenly feel like I'm the antagonist of this show? After hearing his words, everyone burst into laughter. Bei Bei smiled and replied, Brother Ju, you are truly the biggest antagonist in our Tang sect. Who asked you to challenge people to fights every day? Ji Juechen sighed, I don't really have a choice. In order to improve, I must find people to spar with. I am terribly sorry if I have inconvenienced you. But I will not change my ways, and will continue to challenge all of you to fights. Then bring it on. Xiao Xiao escaped from Kaitu's embrace, and her eyes were already burning with her desire to win. Ji Juechen nodded and said, Xiao Xiao, I will not go easy on you because you're a girl. Who needs you to go easy on me? We don't even know who will be victorious yet. As she spoke, she moved to a position that placed her moderately far away from Ji Juechen and opposite him. Now, no one would stop them from sparring. They slowly moved back to give them space. Tang Wutong whispered into Xiao Xiao's ear. If Xiao Xiao loses, it will be my turn next, okay? Hu Hao smiled. Are you itching to get into a battle after dealing with the two evil soul masters? Tang Wutong waved her little fist in front of Hu Hao and said, Nope. I just want you men to know that us ladies are not that easy to bully. We are not weaker than men. Hu Hao smiled. Why do I have the feeling that I am your real target instead of Brother Ji? Tang Wutong raised her head and replied, If I were to challenge you to a duel, would you accept it? Hu Hao was shocked. You're not being serious, right? Tang Wutong replied, Why not? Yu Hao, don't you feel like you can't find your own limits after our previous closed-door cultivation? It's bad for us to not be able to accurately determine how strong we are. We will not be able to decide on the most effective way to deal with our enemies. Actually, Brother Ji's cultivation method has many areas that are worth learning from. Regardless of what abilities we possess, we are only able to truly understand those abilities by sparring and exercising them. Hu Hao mulled over her words before saying, What you say makes sense. But I don't think I can get myself to attack you. Tang Wutong burst into laughter and said, Don't worry. I'll go easy on you. Are you so certain that you can beat me? Hu Hao asked with raised eyebrows. Of course, Tang Wutong answered proudly, Don't forget I'm already a title Doluo while you're still a soul Doluo. But I also have a soul core, Hu Hao replied, This makes me pretty similar to a title Doluo. Tang Wutong said, If you don't agree with me, you can always challenge me. Hu Hao said, So be it. Let's do it after Xiao Xiao and Brother Ji are done. During their conversation, the way they stared into each other's eyes seemed as though they were about to launch into a brawl. But it only stayed that way for a short while before both of them burst into laughter. Yes. No matter what, they would never really fight with one another. Nonetheless, both of them were still fairly competitive. In fact, they were both really excited at the prospect of sparring with one another. It was exactly because they understood each other so well that they could not be certain who would emerge victorious. Ji Juechen and Xiao Xiao faced each other and, without communicating, both of them took a few steps back. Since it was a proper spar, it had to be fair. Both of them retreated until there were about 50 meters between them. Xiao Xiao specialized in mid-range combat, while Ji Juechen was most adept at close quarters. If the distance was too far, it would not be fair to Ji Juechen. If it were too close, it would be unfair to Xiao Xiao. 50 meters was just nice for both of them. Both Ji Juechen and Xiao Xiao stood upright and stared at each other. Xiao Xiao once again radiated a calm aura, as though she was becoming one with her surroundings. This time, Ji Juechen was not the only one who felt that Xiao Xiao's abilities were unpredictable. Even her other companions could sense it. Bei Bei could not help but nod. That's right. Regardless of whether it's Xiao Xiao or Jiang Nan Nan, all of us have grown a lot. Even they are no longer little girls who everyone needs to protect. They can all take on the world themselves. Xiao Xiao's soul ring started to rise from her feet. Her first soul ring was yellow, but the subsequent ones were all black. All 7 of her rings hung quietly around her as a flute appeared in her hands. The first martial soul which she released was not her main martial soul, the 3-live soul crush cauldron, but her second martial soul, the 9 phoenix worshipping flute. This video will end here.